Today's very special Several Stories High Season 1 finale is brought to you by the National Unpronounceable Edibles Company of Rural, whatever. From the makers of the beloved edibles sea anemone, whatever. And the Halloween horseradish of horror, comes the brand new product, the ever delicious Waldo's Wonderful Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire, Worcestershire sauce, crafted in the beautiful and state-of-the-art facility in beautiful and I can't do this. Whatever. Today's Season 1 finale is also brought to you by the upcoming big-budget blockbuster independent student film, Polo, How a Sport Became a Shirt. From the makers of such films as Margaret Thatcher, Chicken Hatcher, and the hilarious hit silent film, The Beautiful Sound of Birds, and also such foreign films as Guten Tag, You're It, and Mi Casa is Blue Casa. Polo tells the story of how a sport became a shirt, starring Michael Jordan as the sport, Michael B. Jordan as the shirt, John C. Reilly as Michael Jordan, and the legendary funny man himself, Daniel Day-Lewis as himself, as a spoon, playing a plastic spoon, and the inevitable cutlery-based fight scene we all know from history, Polo, How a Sport Became a Shirt, already in a DVD bargain bin near you. And finally, today's Season 1 finale is brought to you by the letter opener. Godspeed, cool little knife thingy that used to open other cool little ancient thingies called letters. Sorry email kicked your and made you I'm so sorry. God. I don't know what was going on. There wasn't even curse words. I'll play it back for you, that last part. Godspeed, cool little knife thingy that used to open other cool little ancient thingies called letters. Sorry email kicked your bottom and made you obsolete. I'm so flippin' sorry. Godspeed. I think someone was just getting happy with the censor button.
I just want to do the censor button real time before the season finale and then play the drums in the season finale and the drum.
Sorry, everybody. As you know, or if you haven't listened to other episodes, that's Francis, an imaginary friend. Not my imaginary friend, but he's an imaginary friend of my friend Lewis, who's also imaginary. I'm sorry. Well. Here we are again, friends. Welcome. 10 times. And so we have come to the final episode of Several Stories High, Season 1. Side note, I thought it would have been hilarious if I'd talked this season finale up all this time and at the very end had said, can't wait to see you guys again in a few months or year or however long it takes to get another season. And then just literally the next day after this episode airs, start season 2 and talk about how long it's been. But I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, I'm sorry. And anyways, I'm sure after this episode is done and after you guys are done sobbing your eyes out and gnashing of teeth and going to therapy and all the other things, when you realize there's no more episodes, and I'm still going through puberty, I guess, there's no more episodes for a little while, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of several other people that make recommendations for podcasts, as well as podcasts themselves. So In the episode description, or the show notes that some people call them, I will leave just a few, emphasis on few, of my favorite podcasts. Some of them are audio drama, some of them are naudio drama. I don't know, that's not a real thing. Some of them are true crime, fake crime, just all sorts of stuff. I'll leave links to all that. And when the story is over, also stick around. I've got a couple more things to say and a new song that I wrote. One of my first songs I've done on my own with vocals and, music like most songs have. So I'll share all that with you and leave links and all that in the description. So for the final time of season 1, friends, you're listening to Several Stories High. I'm Nathaniel David Knox, and I've got a story to tell you. This one's called The Dollars and Cents of Smell. Shall we begin? Welcome to Several Stories High, a narrative podcast featuring original stories from all corners of the spectrum. Fiction, fact, or perhaps more appropriately, somewhere in the great galaxies between. I'm Nathaniel David Knox. Let's see how high we can climb. I first decided to follow my nose when I accidentally sneezed into a very expensive bowl of complimentary pepper. My God, I said to myself, sniffling as the waiter cursed at me. Smell, the unsung hero of the senses, the underdog of them all. That's it! That's my next story! So I left a crisp $20 bill and a live penguin that could stand on its head to match the bird that the waiter had flipped me, and I left. I caught the first taxi I could find. We zoomed through traffic at a staggering 2 miles an hour when I tapped the cab driver on the shoulder and shouted, "To the paperclip district, and step on it!" He was wearing earmuffs. I handed him a seductive quarter, and after the greed left his eyes, he actually stepped on the gas pedal, and we sped off instead of just coasting down the curb. We blitzed through traffic towards a section of town known as the Paperclip District, named after the great tycoon patriarch Paul Herman Paperclip. It was an upscale, remote village on the north end of the city, which was, at one time, the remote-control manufacturing capital of the world until the Button and Knob Fasteners Union went on strike and sent the whole city into social turmoil, urban decay, and not nice stares. Anywhere specific? The cab driver said. Yeah, I said, a lump in my throat. To the Smell Estate. He looked at me nervously, but I gave him another quarter and said, just do it. Then I took the lump of lard out of my throat left over from lunch and threw it out the window. We drove in silence for a few minutes until both traffic and my chest became congested. Oh, what's the holdup? I asked, rubbing my chest in pain. It looks like the bridge traffic is still at a standstill, he said, cursing and smacking the wheel helplessly. I just couldn't help him right then. Not with my indigestion, as much as I might have wanted to. Yeah, but why is there so much traffic on the bridge? It's been like that for hours. I read on the radio some guy sneezed while vaping. The mayor says it's too early to tell the casualties. Probably because there's still so much damn bubblegum-scented smoke to tell. I looked out the window and peered into the congested city beyond. It was nothing but honking cars and desolation. Pink, hazy, bubble-gummy desolation. Don't suppose you know another way, I said, dangling a set of foam dice in front of the driver. It took a while for him to notice because they looked like the ones that he already had dangling from his mirror. But soon the lust for new fuzzy dice entered his nostrils. He snatched them from me, swapping out the dice and nodding before gunning the cab out of traffic and down a side street shortcut out of there, towards the estate of the infamous Smell family. So, you a reporter? He said as he cut off a school bus. Yeah, how'd you know? Only journalists have the guts to take on powerful folk like the Smells, he said, cutting off an elderly woman in a Cadillac. And also, the little paper tucked in your hat ribbon that says press on it seemed to stick out at me as well. Yeah, well, I'd say that to take on the smell family is a bit of a harshly hyphenated compound phrase, but just call me a freelancing journalist trying to expose a rich and powerful family for the corrupt, murderous, greedy pigs that they really are, which will hopefully lead to their ultimate downfall and demise. That's all, you know? Yeah, I'm not gonna call you all that, he said. Okay, well, call me Rudy then. Rudy Fisker, I said, handing him my last quarter. Done, Rudy, the driver said with a smile as he cut off his own hair with a child's pair of scissors. And look, here we are. 1 million Rich as Hell Boulevard. Thanks, I said. He paid me 2 quarters for the fare. He was one of those experimental cabbies who pays you to let him drive you places you often hear about. I got out of the cab. Then I walked up to the tall, ironclad gates which had 2 golden noses on them. I pressed the intercom system. A voice buzzed from the little speaker.
Smell residents.
Hello. My name is Rudy Fisker.
That's nice. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Anyway, I'm a freelance journalist and I'm here to ask Madam Smell some questions.
What sort of questions?
The sorts that have question marks at the end when transcribed?
Oh, another one of you hippie types. I'm afraid Madam Smell is indisposed at the moment.
Please, I came all this way, and I'm out of quarters. I can stick around, and until she's disposed and ready for visitors. I have time. And carrots in a Ziploc.
Good day, sir.
I bowed my head and moaned. I was foiled, and I knew it. But after I took the tinfoil off my hat and out of my teeth, I had an idea. An idea so genius, so elaborate and complex that they'd have to let me in. I put on my black Wayfarer sunglasses, and boy were they dark. They'd never see it coming, I thought, and I'd barely be able to myself. I pressed the intercom again.
Smell residents.
Hello, I'm a freelance journalist, and I'm here to ask Madam Smell some questions.
I know you're the same guy as before.
No, I'm not. I'm wearing shades. Can't you hear it? I'm not the same guy as before. I've changed. Honest.
How am I ever to believe you?
Aw, come on. How can you even say that? After all we've been through. That little exchange from before and the one we're doing now? Was all that nothing to you?
It's just, you never call anymore. You never come by to ask about my day. It's just, my name is Rudy Fisker this, and my name is Rudy Fisker that.
I'll change. I have changed. The shades, remember? Come on. What do you say? The speaker buzzed with contemplation.
Fine, but we'll take it slow. Now what's the secret password?
Is it password? No, not that. Shoot. Can you send it to my phone or a verified email address?
Fine,
the speaker said. I looked at the simple 103-digit password reset code, and after about 20 minutes, the gate finally opened. I left a phony telephone number by the speaker, and I said I'd call, but I wouldn't. Do you have any idea the emotional and physical and highway toll dating a speaker takes on a man? And that's just a mono speaker. Don't even get me started with stereo. Let's just say it's not all the movies like to make it out to be. Say it. Now. I'll wait. I walked up the steps and stopped at the vast green door, which said "Smell" in beautiful calligraphy gold across it. The door knocker was fashioned as a nose ring inside the snout of a sculpted pit bull, which was really just the nasty chin of a witch, which was really just a giant nose of brass with a hat. I knocked and the door opened by itself, if you don't count the man in the tuxedo who pulled it ajar. I made my introductions and I left an expired DMV coupon in that same jar, and he gave me a huge kiss on the forehead before saying, "Right this way, baby boy." And it felt right. We walked through several long, decorative, reverberant halls, full of rare and expensive paintings. There was even an oil rendering of a Where's Waldo bumper sticker. And there were walls of fancy paper and golden vases too, and several chia pets in full bloom. Then I was ushered out onto an enormous balcony, high up in the air that looked over a vast, lush green forest and the beautiful sprawling city skyline around it. It was something else, I tell you. Not sure what else, though. It reminded me of the Great Gatsby's house, from that novel that I can't quite place the name of right now. I sat, and soon I was offered an entire pumpkin, the usual brunch refreshment of the privilege, as the breeze danced around the breathtaking grounds below. And of course I forgot my inhaler. "Mr. Fisker, I presume?" said an elegant, well-dressed woman with bobbed hair, clad in lavender, who looked to be anywhere from her late 20s to early 90s.
Yes, that's me,"
I mumbled, pumpkin seeds spilling out of my slobbery mouth. It had been so long since I partook in such fine delicacies. "Constance," she said with an outstretched hand. "Madam Constance Smell." "Pleased to meet you," I said. We fist bumped and sat. "Beautiful place you have here," I said. "Reminds me of the Great Gatsby's mansion and, you know, that novel. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Come on, Rudy. What is it? The Great Gatsby? Oh, God, no. Not that one," I said. "Zen and the Art of Sandwich Making? No. The Kama Sutra? Warmer? Hand Soap, The Untold Story? That's it! That's the one! This place reminds me of that." "Well, thank you. You're too kind. Now, what can I do for you, Mr. Fisker? I see you're locked and loaded with that notepad of yours." Embarrassed and unaware, I hid the padlock on my lap and took out a pencil and readied it for the notepad as I spoke. "For my first question, Madam Smell, is it true that your great-grandfather on your cousin's side was, in fact, Miller J. Smell? The Miller J. Smell, inventor and founder of the famed sense of smell?" "That's correct," she said, a smug smile on her face. "And might I add that he was pretty good from the stories I've heard from my parents over the years, but not necessarily a great-grandfather." "Wow, kinda mean. But he was a genius, an absolute genius. He started out as an eye doctor, then as a food taster, then as an ear specialist, and after he turned 12, he went to school and became an unlicensed massage therapist. But what? He said back in those days things were hard. Life, love, boiled eggs, even the simplest joys and pleasures of life were hard to come by too. And he wanted something more for himself and for his family of 9. He wanted something that went above and beyond the 4 senses, something that could enhance the human experience." "And that's when he got the idea for smell?" I said, sweating in awe as a descendant of true American legend sat before me. "Yes, he saved his money. A nickel here, a dime there, a $3 million payday loan there, and soon he was able to buy a lab. It was a black lab. They named her Whitey. And soon after that, he bought a fully functioning laboratory with a full staff of scientists included from a man on a street corner. And by 1937, he did it. He concocted the legendary formula of smell, the last and greatest of all the human senses." "Incredible," I said, weeping and scribbling gibberish that I'd pay someone to translate later. "And now, you run the family business?" "Yes. Been doing it for well over a decade now. It'll be 10 years this winter." "If I may," I said cautiously, "I'd like to address the allegations that have been made against you and your family." "Which ones?" "The ones that claim all of you Smells are guilty of corruption and embezzlement and being a bunch of backstabbing, maniacal, greedy, bloodthirsty monsters, trust fund poopy heads. No offense." "Oh, none taken. And you saying no offense really made the first bit completely pleasant. But listen, Mr. Fisker, you aren't the first reporter to bring these allegations to my doorstep, And you certainly won't be the last. But no matter. It's all just the price of doing business on such a large scale. How many pounds does it hold? I believe it's 10,000, but don't quote me on that. Damn it, I muttered, quickly erasing the quote about the scale I was planning on attributing to her. I'm a journalist with a code and a heart, lest you forget. Have you an official statement then, Madam Smell? On the record? Which one? Any? Well, the White Album was great. Eclectic, strange, and beautiful. Even Don't Pass Me By. And what about the allegations against you and your family? Good day, Mr. Fisker. AB will see you out, she said coldly, leaping from her seat and motioning for her butler to escort me out. Please, Madam Smell, I cried, hot on her heels as she stormed inside. I didn't mean to offend you. I said that will be all, she barked, clopping down the long corridor. She'd mounted a miniature horse while I wasn't looking. Please, Madam Smell, if I could just get one official statement. Then I heard it. Clinks and clanks and rapid jiggling sounds and moans of paper and perhaps the sneeze of a narwhal. The sounds were coming from behind one of the doors in the hallway. Making sure they moved on without me, I tiptoed over to the door, pressing my ear to it to make sure I was correct. Then I eased the door open and entered. The inside made Las Vegas look like a pile of potato chips, an etch-and-sketch, and a couple of lawn chairs. There were machines everywhere, slot-like and flashing, all around, scores of them, all clinking and clanking and spitting out quarters and dimes and nickels and actual spit, as if they all had violent cases of loose change and paper money diarrhea. Everywhere. Receipts, dollar bills, coins, coins, coins. I see you obeyed my wishes to leave, Madam Smell said from the doorway. All these dollars and coins, this money, these transactions, the rumors are true? I said, dumbfounded. Oh, of course they're true, she yelled. How else are we supposed to afford Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, and Prime Video? Huh? How else? She approached me rather aggressively, her arms folded up. Let me tell you a little something, Mr. Fisker. Every time somebody bends down to smell a beautiful flower, the Smell family gets a cut. Every time someone savors the sweet aroma of hot, fresh-baked cookies straight out of the oven, we get a piece of the action. And yes, even when someone sniffs glue or gets stuck behind a garbage truck for 41 consecutive blocks and inhales, or, God forbid, when someone else gets trapped in a crowded elevator amidst a festering pack of wild little farts, yes, we get our share of the profits. You're a monster, I said. Yeah, well, so is Bigfoot. And he just won the election for U.S. Senate. Look it up. Boys, get him out of here. A burly guard and two 11-year-old boys grabbed me rather harshly and started to shove me out the door. Hey, you can't shut me up. I won't be silenced. I won't, I screamed. She followed us and spoke, taunting me with her echoing tone. You know what people did with scented candles before my great-grandfather came along? They licked them. Body odor? People just taped index cards with the word fresh to their armpits. How about perfume? No. The men drank the stuff and the women just played records of people singing about how good the spray felt on their necks. No, I won't apologize. In fact, boys, take his nose before he goes. He doesn't deserve it. No. Oh, how I screamed and flailed and wept and asked nicely and sharded. But the burly guard reached right in and plucked my nose clean off my face before throwing me outside, face first down the steps. I rolled out past the gate and landed on a curb full of cigarette butts, out flat on my own. I think I even heard the speaker snicker at me, and he didn't even offer me a piece. Humiliated, I grabbed my face, feeling the tiny pulled-down cage where my nose used to be with the sign now that said, "For rent" on it. I sulked. I wallowed. I even burped. and pumpkin burped, no less. Then, like a beam of light, I had an idea. My story! I had the perfect title. I wrote at the top of my scribbled nonsense notepad, "The Dollars and Cents of Smell." Months have passed. Sure, nobody's bought my breaking story full of corruption and intrigue regarding the Smell family. At least not yet. But several people have told me in incredibly formulaic letters and auto-reply emails and courtesy texts that they truly appreciate the opportunity to read it. And, thankfully enough, my landlady, Miss Melman, said that she'd gladly accept best wishes and don't give up in lieu of any sort of monetary rent payment. God bless that mustached woman. But, all in all, I guess I'm alright. And I guess I'll be alright. And at the end of the day, I had an idea for a great story and I took a shot at it. And who knew Madam Smell's guards would shoot right back after I tried to get back into her estate a few minutes later disguised as a noseless pumpkin. And sure, today I walk down the streets and get sad when I can't enjoy the luscious scent of wafting coffee or fresh-baked bagels from the cafe down the block, or the delightful aroma of burning hickory wood at the local barbecue joint down the block. But there's a really nice hipster's nose I saw through a window display in the pawn shop near my building, stuck up, and I mean way up on the shelf. I should have enough money for it in a few years. And hey, at least I can ride the elevator all the way to the top of any building now with an immune smile on my face, while the others gag and look around to whichever other culprit is wincing and staring at the ceiling all too entranced at the moldy tile, guilty. And if that isn't the definition of senseless, then I don't know what is. Today's Season 1 finale of Several Stories High was written, composed, and produced by me, Nathaniel David Knox. Thank you so much for listening. And stick around for just a little bit longer, because I've got a couple more things to tell you. Are you waiting for somebody's permission to go? To tell you now's the time and it'll be fine and everything will work itself out? Because we chase the wind through maps that end and take a leap off of the paper trail. Well, I'm having second thoughts and I think that I've misplaced the first. But I've heard it said to build your wings before you hit the ground. So we chase the wind through maps that end and take a leap off the paper trail. Those are the lyrics to the song that I wrote after I heard a speech by the actor Peter Dinklage, who, if you're unaware, was in some movies and shows and a kind of obscure show that probably none of you have seen, maybe one or two of you. It's called Game of Thrones. But I don't know, he had this speech that I saw on the YouTubes, and I don't want to butcher it because I'm not a professional butcher, but you should check it out anyway. I was really moved by it. He's basically talking about how he didn't have any acting jobs for a while and for a long time and got kind of, you know, the typical stuff we all go through, downcast and what am I doing and it's just a waste of time. And basically the thing he kept driving home was, don't wait for the world to tell you you're ready to do something. Don't wait for them to give you approval or permission to, you know, follow your dreams or whatever slightly cliche thing you want to say about it. So after I heard that, I was really moved by it and I wrote the song that you're listening to right now, at least the intro to. And I thought it'd be a great way to end season 1 of this podcast. I mean, here we are, the end of season 1. It's been real. Well, as real as made-up stories could be anyway. I mean, man, we've been through some stuff. Giant spiders, snow battles, bells, camp, wooden sailboats, a mayor named Thumb, the Red Death, dragons, raptors, and the seemingly perfect nuclear family. I mean, look how high we've climbed. Look how high we've gotten. Look how high up we've come. Together. It's truly been a blast. Please hit me up on any of the social media sites or email. severalstorieshigh.com, obviously. And I suppose I'll leave you with my song. And say, so long. That rhymed. Unintentional. I'm Nathaniel David Knox. And as always, thank you for listening